Hawaii looks like paradise in the daylight. Crystal water, white sand, warm trade winds. But when the sun goes down and the torches burn low, Hawaii becomes something else entirely. The Hawaiian Islands are some of the most spiritually charged places on Earth. Long before the hotels and the tourists and the Instagram photos, these islands were home to ancient gods, restless spirits, and forces that locals still refuse to challenge to this day. These are the ghost stories that Hawaiians have passed down for generations. And if you're smart, you'll listen. Let's start with the most feared procession in all of Hawaiian legend. The Night Marchers. Known in Hawaiian as Huaka'i, the Marchers of the Night. These are the spirits of ancient Hawaiian warriors, alii, and chieftains who rise from their burial grounds after dark and march across the land in a procession that follows the old sacred paths, the same paths they walked in life. You won't see them coming. You'll hear them first. The distant sound of drums. The blow of a conch shell. Chanting that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. And then, torches. Moving in a line through the dark. If you ever see the night marchers approaching, the warnings are clear and they have not changed in centuries. Do not look at them. Do not cross their path. Lie face down on the ground and do not move until they have passed. Those who have stood and stared, or worse, gotten in the way, are said to have been struck dead on the spot. Locals on every island have reported seeing the torches moving through valleys and along ridgelines at night. Even today. Even now. In the mountains above Honolulu, there is a valley so sacred that Native Hawaiians refused to live there permanently for centuries. Manoa Valley. Today it's a quiet residential neighborhood and home to the University of Hawaii. But at night, Manoa takes on a different character entirely. The valley is known as one of the most haunted places on Oahu. The most famous story involves the Green Lady, a female spirit said to roam the trails and streams of Manoa, draped in green moss and seaweed, her face twisted and her eyes hollow. She is said to be the spirit of a mother who drowned in the valley searching for her lost child, and now she searches forever, grabbing at anyone she encounters in the dark, mistaking them for her own. Children in Manoa are still warned by their grandparents, do not go into the valley alone at night. And most of them listen. Not all Hawaiian spirits are found on land. The ocean here is ancient and alive in ways that go far beyond the physical. Hawaiian legend speaks of the shark gods, powerful spiritual beings who could shift between human and shark form. Nanaue was the most feared. Born of a human mother and the shark god Kamaholi, Nanaue appeared normal on land but had a mouth on his back, hidden beneath his kapa cloth. He walked among the people of the Big Island, and when he chose a victim, he would lure them into the water, and then he would feed. Fishermen along the coasts of Hawaii Island still tell stories of unusual sharks that seem to follow specific people. That circle canoes with what feels like intention. That appear at moments that feel less like nature and more like something watching. The shark is not just an animal in Hawaii. It never was. Deep in the Waipio Valley on the Big Island, one of the most sacred and isolated valleys in all of Hawaii, there are stories so old that even the oldest kupuna speak of them in hushed voices. Waipio was once the home of Hawaiian royalty. It is a place where the veil between the living and the dead has always been thin. At night, locals say you can hear voices in the valley that have no source. Figures standing at the edge of the black sand beach that disappear when you look directly at them. The night marchers are said to be especially active in Waipio. The valley is filled with ancient heiau, sacred temples, and burial sites that have never been disturbed. Visitors who camp in the valley without permission or without understanding what they are entering have reported waking in the night to the sound of chanting so close it felt like someone was standing over them. Some have left before dawn and refused to go back. Pele is the goddess of volcanoes and fire, and she is not a myth. Not to Hawaii. Pele is believed to be a living spiritual force that inhabits the lava flows and craters of Kilauea on the Big Island. She appears in many forms, sometimes as an old woman walking along the highway at night, sometimes as a beautiful young woman near the crater's edge. Drivers on the Big Island report picking up an elderly woman hitchhiking near the volcano, only to watch her vanish from the back seat without the car ever stopping. Those who disrespect Pele, and the most well-known form of disrespect is taking lava rocks or black sand from the islands, are said to be cursed with misfortune until the rocks are returned. The Hawaii Volcanoes National Park receives packages in the mail every single week from people around the world returning rocks they took as souvenirs, each one containing a letter describing the string of bad luck that followed them home. Rangers call it the Pele Curse. Scientists call it superstition. The rocks keep coming back. On Maui, there is a road that even locals avoid after dark. The stretch of highway between Lahaina and the North Shore, near the base of the West Maui Mountains, has long been associated with unexplained sightings and a feeling that something is watching from the steep green cliffs above. Hawaiian legend says this area is one of the many pathways used by the night marchers, and the accounts are consistent enough and old enough that this is not simply modern folklore. But there is something else on Maui that carries a particular kind of dread. The ancient fishponds along the coastline, some of them over 700 years old, are said to be guarded by spirits of the alii who built them. Fishermen who have tried to take from these ponds without offering respect have reported nets that cut themselves, boats that won't start, and a cold presence in the water that has no explanation. Here is the thing about Hawaiian ghost stories that separates them from the ghost stories of other cultures. They are not entertainment. They were never meant to be scary for the sake of scary. They are warnings. They are the way that generations of Hawaiians encoded respect, for the land, for the ocean, for the ancestors, for the sacred. The night marchers don't haunt you for fun. They march their ancient paths because those paths are theirs. Pele doesn't curse rock thieves out of anger. She is the land, and you took a piece of her. The Green Lady doesn't stalk the living for sport. She is grief itself, walking forever. When you come to Hawaii, as a visitor or as someone who calls it home, these stories are still alive here. The locals know it. The land knows it. And if you spend enough time in these islands, in the valleys and along the old stone walls and at the edge of the lava fields after dark, you might just start to know it too. If this gave you chills, hit subscribe. We have more Hawaii stories, legends, and places that most tourists never find. Drop a comment below. Have you ever experienced something unexplainable in Hawaii? We want to hear it.